Stress kills. 75% of the UK workforce are suffering with stress-related problems at any one point in time. 70+% of doctors' visits are stress-related. 1 in 4 of us are suffering from mental health issues at any point in time. And the World Health Organization predict that within the next 10 years, mental health issues, including stress, will be the second biggest cause of death. And what are we doing about that? Very little. Because mental health issues, including stress, are the elephant in the room. We all know they're there, but we're not talking about them. We're not doing anything about them because there's still a huge stigma to mental health issues. It's seen as a sign of weakness. So, it's serious. And the problem is that society is literally sleepwalking into a ticking time bomb. If we don't deal with this, it will become a problem. And our response currently is based on 3 myths around stress, and this is the problem. The first one is that stress is an inevitable part of modern life. No, it isn't. If we accept it as a part of modern life, we won't deal with it. And the second myth is that stress is a mental illness. No, it's not. Stress is a tap on the shoulder from our system, from our unconscious, saying, "Oi, mate, your life's not right. Step back, get off the treadmill, have a look and change something. Change something in your life." It's a message. And the third myth is that stress management is the solution. No, it's not. If I've got a problem, why would I want to manage it? Medication is not a long-term solution either. In fact, the medical profession do not have an answer for stress. And the problem is, actually, it's the way we think. The way we think and the way we create our reality. You see, the definition of stress is the perceived inability to cope with the pressure that we're under. Not the inability, not the actual pressure, the perceived inability to cope. It's the way we think. And that's what we need to change. We all know people who seem to float through life and stress doesn't even touch them. Well, how do they do that? Very simple. They think differently to the rest of us. So the solution to stress is actually self-awareness, self-esteem, and then understanding how our unconscious mind creates our reality. You see, the unconscious is 91% of our overall mind. So the unconscious patterns and programs that we run are 91% of how we create our reality. And we know nothing about the unconscious mind. And that's the problem. Adults do not have self-awareness. Now that may sound a bit provocative, but if we don't know what 91% of our mind is doing, how can we have self-awareness? And then secondly, if we don't have self-awareness, if we don't really know much about ourselves and how we create our reality, actually, how can we feel good about ourselves? How can we have self-esteem? Again, adults don't have self-esteem. Just think about it for a moment. Stop and think. How many people do you know who feel good about themselves? How many people do you know that are actually comfortable in their own skin? Think about it for a moment. Now, when I ask that question in a workshop, firstly there's silence, and then 1 or 2 people tentatively hold up their hand and say, well, 1, 2. So if we were really generous and we said 1% of the population has self-esteem, 1% of the population actually feel good about themselves, that's a complete catastrophe. Because people with self-awareness and self-esteem are resilient. They don't suffer from stress. Now the good news is self-awareness, self-esteem, and the unconscious patterns that we run can be taught. In fact, that's what I've been doing for the last 13 years. I've taught thousands of one-to-one clients how their unconscious mind works, how to gain self-awareness, and actually how to feel good about themselves. Because actually there is no reason why any of us should not feel good about ourselves. And it's life-changing, that knowledge, literally. So what's the way forward? Well, self-awareness, self-esteem, how the unconscious mind works and creates our reality, and other life skills need to be on the curriculum at school. It's essential that our kids are taught this sort of information, because life is becoming more pressured. Things are becoming less controllable. Our kids have a far greater need of this knowledge than we had when we were children. And secondly, business needs to start investing in the self-development as opposed to the professional development of their employees. Because stress reduces productivity by 40%. It completely kills creative thinking. That's actually a disaster for business. So the good news is that actually self-awareness, self-esteem, and the understanding of how we create our reality is what will put the fuse out on the ticking time bomb. This is doable, and it's doable fast.